Welcome back again to another edition of The Mind of OPEX. Let's dive into it, shall we? What happens when shit hits the fan? We're getting into that right away. Cue the intro. Alright, so there's no intro. Let's dive into it, shall we? Shit hitting the fan. I've been pondering this idea for years. Many years. A decade, at least. When I was young, I would say when I was 19, 20, 21, my idea of shit hitting the fan was way different. But it all has about the same similarity in terms of conclusion. So, when I was young, I used to think that, well, I need to prepare for the zombie apocalypse because it's cool. Seriously. I would have crazy discussions with my friends about what we would do, how we would plan it. We would come up with crazy scenarios like, hey, my work, we would fucking, I don't care who's around me, we're gonna fucking plywood the fuck out of that, and we would, you know, just hold down the fort. We have tons of food, and it's fake food, but we have enough food for us to survive for a long time. Enough water and stuff, because I was working at a gas station when I was 20, 21 time frame, and we would have these discussions of like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But here's the thing. We wanted to talk about it because it was entertainment rather than actually going out and doing it. So we didn't actually prep. We came up with game plans, military type exercises. We would have fun with it, but we wouldn't actually prepare. We wouldn't actually have the items available, and we didn't really think it through. Right? So it wasn't like serious. It was more entertainment. Got a little older, realized how shit can easily hit the fan. In 2008 is when I was 21 or 22. 21, 22. And the financial crisis happened, where the stock market went down and everything just went terrible for our economy. And there was a lot of people back then that were saying, oh, make sure you have your firearms, make sure you have food, make sure that you have everything that you need, because if the dollar collapses, well, what's going to happen? You don't have enough food to survive, and neither does millions of other people. So you're going to be fighting over the last blade of grass to eat. So my mentality back then was, wow, I'm not really that safe. I need to man up on this and really come up with these solutions. But it was years later I learned how to farm. Not years later, probably that year or the year after. I learned farming. I started growing my own tomatoes, my own peppers and onions, and etc. Right? I started to do a lot of things in which would prepare me, at least mentally. I wanted to know how to. I wanted to live if shit hit the fan, I wanted to live a luxurious lifestyle considering the circumstances. So I wanted to learn things. I learned how to take apart a computer and put it back together. I learned to build my own computer. I learned a lot of things like that, thinking that, well, I want to know the ins and outs of this. So I also wanted to know the ins and outs of farming. I wanted to know the ins and outs of everything. Doctors, I wanted to know what doctors knew. I wanted to know how to take care of myself. I wanted to know what berries to eat, what berries not to eat in my area. I wanted to know all that shit. So I just started going nuts for years, learning if shit hits the fan, am I prepared? Am I ready to take on a million other people for the little bit of stuff that I have now? Do I have a group of people that are going to fend for me, or fend with me, rather? Do I have it all under control? The short answer is no. You pretty much will never have it under control unless you're a die-hard prepper that over-prepped, has an over-community in their area that is willing to stock up and all contributed, and like it's a rare thing to have it all under control, right? So my brother's a prepper too. We used to all have conversations at the bar, you know, 10 years ago or whatever. If the zombie apocalypse happened and, you know, we would say open discussions, we weren't scared to talk about this at all. What would we do? Well, we would take over this bar right now. If it happened right now, we would take over this bar and we would say how we would take it over. We don't care if the bartender's listening. We don't give a fuck. Because this is stuff that would be on our mind. So, my brother's a prepper. He's been a prepper for years. He has tons of storage on things. Now, here's the issue. He's not able to use these things if shit hits the fan right now, but that's a video for another time, and I won't discuss his circumstance right now. I think I did say his circumstance at one point, but he's a prepper. He has tons of shit. He has guns, ammo, he has food, he has tons and tons of water, he has canned goods, he has everything you can think of. Ballistic vests. He has everything that you can think of. That you think that you can think of. And he prepped overly. He got a camper just in case he had to be mobile. He got tons of solar panels to charge up certain things. He went nuts, right? And it's a good thing because he's still today from where, fuck it, I'll just say it. He's in prison right now. So he calls me once in a while and he goes, hey man, did you rotate my stock? Did you buy more, you know, 223 ammo? Did you know, just trying to be like, hey, you helping the cause. We're in this together. And I'll be like, no, I didn't do that, but I did this, and blah, blah, blah. So prepping's on my mind constantly. Coffee went down the wrong hole. The wrong orifice or something. So he'll call me up and be like, I want you to research this. I want you to read this book. I want you to do this and the third. I want you to know, I want you to tell me what the prices of iodine is. And he'll do this to me all the time. He'll call me up and be like, hey, I want to make sure that you're up on this shit because I'm not around and you're the man. So, you know, we got to make sure that we're all stocked up for our family and our friends because they're not going to be into it as much as us. We're the men. We need to rise to the occasion, right? It's our responsibility to take care of our loved ones. You know, look at prices of generators or whatever, right? And, you know, try to go off grid. Things like that, right? Make sure that you're going to be successful if shit was to hit the fan. I told them like, we have the supplies right now. We're going to have to re-up on all those supplies probably next year. You know, I told him my plan is this. My plan is to buy a house. I want my house to be nowhere near a fucking city. Nowhere near heavy population. Nowhere near that shit. Have a few acres. I want to grow fruit trees and get vegetables everywhere. I want my own well. I want to put in a system where it's about, I'm looking to spend $10,000+ on a solar panel system. A solar system, not solar panel system. And I'm looking to do all this stuff, right? I'm looking to raise chickens and hogs and maybe even meat bunnies. I told them about the meat bunnies recently that I wanted to do because it's very simple to raise these animals. It's not like cows where you're going to smell the shit everywhere. Of course you can smell the shit, but you can smell the shit miles away, and it's just a worse process to own one of them. Make sure that they always have enough food, and it's a big deal, right? So, and it's expensive. So I'm explaining to him what my next goals are, what my purpose is in terms of this plan. And of course he's saying, oh, you can use any of my shit. Whatever I have, you can use. So let's dive into scenarios real quick. If shit was to go down right now, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm not saying are you perfectly well off and luxurious. Are you okay? Are you going to survive for 2 weeks? Are you going to survive for a month? Are you going to survive battling your neighbors for your little tiny garden in your backyard? Or even if it's not battling them, it could be while you're sleeping, your neighbors come up and snip, snip, snip your carrots because they got to eat. They don't want to hurt you, they like you, but when shit hits the fan, they're not your friend. In fact, you can pretty much rest assured no one is your friend. No, you're not going to establish friendships when shit hits the fan, like these delusional zombie movies. That's not when you get friends. In fact, the time to have friends and a stable mind, stable plan, and prepare and have all your shit together and everyone chips in is now. This is something that you need to know about everything in life. The best time to do something is now. Well, first off, obviously, 30 years ago would have been better, right? But you can't worry about the past. Right now is as early as you can start. Now's the time. They have that ancient Chinese, I believe, proverb. Is the best time to grow a tree, a fruit tree, was 30 years ago. The next best time is now. Meaning, if you didn't already do it, now's the best time. So, if you wait until shit hits the fan, dollar collapses, EMP attack, whatever, right? We can go through the list of meteorites or whatever, right? Anything can happen, right? It could be that 2012 scenario where all of a sudden volcanic ash and molten lava's going everywhere, and you can't. There's just so much radiation in the air. You got a nuclear attack. China invaded us. Donald Trump sold us out, which I don't believe this shit for an instant, but some of you guys might believe it. Donald Trump sold us out to the Russians, and they invaded us. They had a key role in, you know, infiltrating. Donald Trump gave the visa to 100,000, you know, Russian soldiers to go into each one of our major cities or whatever. I don't know. And armed them up and fucking went ham on our country for some stupid reason. Some people are dumb enough to believe that, but the point is, it can happen any which way. Are you prepared? Right now, if it was to happen, are you okay? Doubt it. Highly doubt it. Because it's more than just the items, right? You might be like, oh, I have 3 years of food supplies. You have the meal-ready military stuff, which can hold a shelf value for many years. You can have rice and beans and sustainability, and you might have a garden out back. But hey, guess what? Are you the toughest guy on the block? Do you have a crew? Do you have teams? Do you have a bug out location? Do you have a bug out bag? Do you have all of these ideas in play to counteract any type of issue, which would be hungry neighbors, right? Do you live in a population-dense area? Because if you do, you're battling with everyone else, and it'd be delusional to be like, well, I'm already the fucking high-riser on my block, so, you know, everyone's gonna bow to me. No, if you're the high-riser, you're first killed. They're not going after weaklings, even though even weaklings are gonna go into survival mode. I think you guys need to understand that. The kid on your block that you punked when you were kids isn't gonna be a punk when it's survival mode. Everyone's gonna fend for themselves. It's not gonna be riots. You guys might be like, well, I got my crew and we're cool. Come on, man. You're cool when shit's gravy. What happens when shit hits the fan? What happens when you're all hungry? What happens when you're battling other crews, other groups of people? What happens when you're the farmer that prepared and you have to fight off hordes of what I would consider zombies? Why would I consider them zombies? Well, just like zombies, they're going to be people. People that were once alive and you were cool with. Could screw you over here and there, but, you know, modern circumstances. But what happens when they're hungry and they need to kill you in order to get your food? They're going to be zombies. They're going to do any means necessary. They might come in hordes. They might come in groups. They might be heavily armed militia ready to take over your shit. How prepared are you? Again, you can be the biggest dude on the block. You can have all the shit prepared for you. You can have 2 AK-47s and thousands of rounds of ammo. One bullet, that's somebody else's stuff. One bullet going through your noggin, that's somebody else's stuff now. And now they're going to have to protect that stuff that you prepped for them. Do you have a group? Do you have a bug out location? Is your road or driveway visible from the next main road? Are you noticed? If a helicopter was going above your property, are they going to notice you and your property? Are they going to notice your garden? What are they going to notice? Now, I don't want to say all these circumstances, which a great prepper would already consider these. I'm not saying this to discourage you, to say, well, what the fuck is the reason to prep? I might as well just be battling out in the streets for the leftover cans at Walmart. Well, we all know that that's going to go bad for you. That's going to go horrible for you. That's going to be not good, right? So if you're a man, there's something in our evolution in which our DNA has been to take care of the women and children. That is most important. Now, if you don't have women and children, you know, a girlfriend, wife, children, then the next step would be, well, do you have a sister? For example, I don't have a woman or children, but I would go next to, like, my mom, my sister. My sister has children. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to do whatever it takes to take care of them. You know, they don't even have to be that well aware that I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it because I'm that kind of person. I'm going to need my genetics to pass on. Even if it's not mine, it would be my sister, right? Or whoever, right? And you're going to have to take care of your loved ones because you're a man. There's something in your genetics in which makes us want to take care of women and children. Meaning, who cares about another guy? Same thing when you're considering your crews. If you're having a 10-man crew, there's going to be someone in that crew that's not going to value you as much as you think. Now, that's important to recognize. And I don't mean right now that they wouldn't, if you were going to get beat up by somebody, that they wouldn't help you and step in. Not saying that. That doesn't matter. What matters is when shit hits the fan and you and your crew are going to be fighting other crews, taking over other shit, defending property, gardening, whatever it is that you're going to be doing in order to survive, that there's going to be guaranteed someone that's a man that's not going to recognize you as value. You're just another fucking mouth. What do I need you for? We already have 9 men. Right? What do we need you for? You're the weakest. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill you because you're another mouth to feed. You're a liability at this point. Right? But if you had women, then you can procreate. If there's children, then you're going to have sustainability. Right? So it's not just when you're 60 years old and you're getting old and tired, and you're sick of fending off your property. I'm just throwing a scenario out there. There's something in us saying that the children you're going to teach and then have protect you. Right? So it all goes full circle in that mindset, that circumstance scenario. So again, not here to discourage you saying that you shouldn't get a crew, because right now is the time. Right now is the time to discuss. Right now is the time to put your resources together, to have a bug out location that everyone's contributing. I encourage you guys to look up, only because he's obsessed with it and he's a very intelligent person. Why the Are recruiters still talking to me? No, I don't want to work for CRST. I'm not fucking stupid. What was I saying? Oh, YouTuber, you need to watch. You need to subscribe to, and I'm not part of his Patreon, but you can get full-fledged of his videos for $1 a month. Trust me, you're going to like this guy. Viking Preparedness. Great guy. I've watched his videos for years. He's a prepper. He's a really good prepper. He's an intelligent prepper. He's going to tell you the ins and outs. He's ex-military. He's a vet, obviously. So he preps all the time. He will show you different types of information and gems that you might not have considered, because he lives his life prepping. He lives his life to be well off and luxurious and have coffee when everyone else is fighting and rioting in the major cities. He's on his little piece of property in the mountains, sipping his coffee. I told him, get out of the fucking cities. I told him. Anyways, watch his videos. He said something recent. Man, I think I just lost my train of thought. Man, I hate that. I hate when I go full circle about, no, I gotta talk about this, gotta talk about this, gotta talk about this, but I gotta talk about that first thing I wanted to talk about. Fuck, I hate doing that. Anyways, hopefully it'll come to me. I don't want to discourage you, again, saying that it's going to be so tough, right? The best time to do it is now. Get some friends together, start talking about this, start collabing. Now I remember what it was. He said that he has friends, right? And his friend has a wife, has children, right? So it'd be him, his wife, and 2 kids, let's say. And he has him, his wife, and 3 kids, which also have kids and wives and husbands. So we need to prep for this amount. I am going to take care of everyone underneath me, which would be my wife, me, my kids. So I'm going to have enough food and stuff to survive that. Now you need to, because we're going to agree on our bug out location, which is going to be a mutual bug out location that's 30 miles out or whatever. And they're going to have enough prepped for them. So 4 people prep for them already at that bug out location. He's going to have his stuff already there, and everyone is going to survive. They have coffee there. They have everything that they would ever want already there at the bug out location, which is a good idea to not do it where you are, because you're going to probably be in a more heavily populated area. So you're going to need a cabin in the woods, something, means of survival, clean sheets, right? A bed. You're going to need that stuff at your bug out location. How much money are you willing to put up to make sure that you and your loved ones are going to survive? If you are a man, it's decoded in your DNA to step up to the plate, put your hard-earned time and money into the survival of your family. Now, you might be like, it doesn't matter as much. It's not going to happen. I'm just going to give you one scenario. I can give you 1,000. I might as well give you a few. Why not? But I'll give you one scenario. So think of the stock market, right? Talk to anybody in the stock market. Anybody that's going to tell you the fucking God honest truth. It's unsustainable. It's unsustainable right now. Just the stock market. Why is that important? Well, the stock market goes down, the housing goes down. Housing goes down, another thing's going to go down, everything's going to go down. Truck drivers aren't going to go to your locations because they're not getting paid enough, because these companies need to raise the prices in order to be sustainable, pay the employees, blah, 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 and it's going to go a fucking ripple effect all the way down the fucking line. Trickle-down economics is fucking real. So, dollar collapses. Go into a depression. Is the bailout going to be enough? Maybe. I mean, the bailout's been there since the Great Depression, right? The Great Depression was the last time we have seen something that devastating. Right? Now we can see the crisis in 2008 was bad, but they bailed out the banks. Think of how many people have student debt right now. Just think of how many people have student debt right now. It's unsustainable. How many people have credit card debt right now? How many people have debt right now? How many people are buying shit they don't need with money they don't have? How many? The average person says within the next year to 2 years, intelligent people in some sort of high-level understanding of economics, the stock market, whatever, Wall Street, corporations, any idea of business, any person who has an understanding is going to say probably within 1 to 2 years. 3 the latest, right? It can't go much more longer than 3. And a lot of these people will say that whether they like Donald Trump or not, that since he's been in office, the economy has been able to stabilize artificially almost. So since Donald Trump's been in there, they've been artificially able to keep it looking like everything's great. What happens when everything's great? Roaring 20s into the 1930s, which was a decade of Great Depression. How did grandma or great-grandma survive the Great Depression? How? Until 1920-something, there was no such thing as supermarkets. There was no such thing. Grandma had tons of food on her property. She raised her own chickens. They had food. They had gardens. And it was the people from the cities that would have to go out and know somebody in a circle of an inner circle of people, network of people that they had, and they would say, I want your carrots, I want your potatoes, and give them money for it. So grandma would have an excess of potatoes. Grandma's neighbor would have an excess of carrots. The other neighbor would have hens or chickens. The other neighbor would have excess of something else. And they would have a network of being able to take care of each other. So if some shit hit the fan, they were okay, right? And there wasn't an absurd amount of people that didn't prepare, right? It was just a few people in the city that had no network connection to people with food. It was a very, very small amount of people. And, right, so now it's the opposite. Now, everyone's reliant on the supermarket. Everyone's relying on trucks. Right? This is inevitable. There is nothing that can legitimately stop this. You can bail out the banks and give them credit as much as you want. What you're doing is you're making the inevitable prolonged, and it's going to be 10 times worse when that bubble pops. Like, legitly. Like, I can give you a video on Economics 101 if you want. But are you prepared for when it goes down? Probably not. And the point is, and if you were not one of the very few people, like in the roaring 20s when everyone had access to food, no supermarkets. I mean, supermarkets just started to exist in the 1920s when the addition of trucks came along, and it wasn't just a community-based thing. They can take the truck or a vehicle to, you know, from Denver to Los Angeles or whatever, right? And they were able to bring food and supplies long distances. So people didn't need to require that as much, so people got out of agriculture. Agriculture was a main thing to have happen that we had back in the 1800s. They say that 90% of people in the 1800s, it was just 100-something years ago, 150 years ago, 90% of people were in agriculture. Now, less than 5%. Right? So these huge farms are going to be the first ones to go to that are going to get fucking destroyed. People are going to go out to the country to get your farms if you're that prepper. So you're gonna have to defend yourself. You're gonna need a crew of people, a lot of people. You're gonna have enough. You're gonna need enough firearms, ammunition, and food and water. Water is gonna be gold. Water is gonna be so gold in this time frame because no one's gonna have access to clean water, and your little life straw isn't gonna fucking do much after a week. You're gonna need clean water. You're gonna need to know how to filter your water supply through charcoal filters and sands and all different types of filtration systems. You're gonna need to know all this shit, and you're gonna need it in place so when shit hits the fan, you go to your bug out location, all your friends and family go there, and everyone has access to enough food, water, clothing, did I say firearms and ammunition? Everyone's gonna need enough, and everyone needs to play a role, and everyone needs to know this before shit hits the fan. You can't wait on this. Because when shit hits the fan, Walmarts are going to be destroyed in a matter. You think because your power went out and these people riot the fucking Walmart because they were out of food for 2 days, that it takes 2 days to take every last thing off their shelf in your area? 2 days? And all your food's gone? 2 days? When shit hits the fan, it's not going to be 2 days. It's going to be in the matter of hours. And then what's going to happen to the people that didn't get their fix? Matter of hours. They're already going to have to be battling in the streets. There's going to be slaughter everywhere. I'm not here to give you the worst case scenario and be like, that's possible, as this is the only possible route, because it is. It's the only possible route. If shit hits the fan, it's not going to be glorious. There is going to be no luxury. There is going to be no Great Depression where everyone's going to survive. It's going to be a Great Depression where everyone's slaughtered. Everyone starves. It's going to be. And it's inevitable. You put a fake artificial matrix out there and have everyone spin that hamster wheel. One person fucks up that hamster wheel and decides not to spin it because they're not getting paid enough, or the stock market went down, so everyone gets their money out at the same time, and one fucking division fucks up. All of a sudden trucks aren't going to be driving. All of a sudden there's going to be no one going to work the next day. All of a sudden there's no food anywhere. One thing. And if you are dependent on the Matrix, you are dead. You're dead. There is no, maybe I'll survive because I'm a tough, I think tough, I know I'm a survivor. You're a fucking idiot. I'm a survivor is a fucking idiot mindset. A survivor, a true survivor, would put every fucking piece in place where they're not dependent on the government. They're not dependent on that food truck going to Walmart. They're not dependent on money. If you're a survivor, you can start a fire in your backyard and start boiling some of your well water in a pan that you have excess of, in which you start a fire with your bare hands and you cook your beans that you prepped 100 pounds of at least, and your family are all in that circle with zero dependence on anybody else. That's a survivor. When you say I'm a survivor but you have no means to survive, you're an idiot. It's suicide. You're dependent on something that is artificial, something that will inevitably fail. Inevitably. There is nothing ever in history, ever a civilization, ever, that has not failed. Ever. It is artificial. You put one fucking politician in office that fucking just steals some extra money, like an extra $1 billion or $2 billion, could fucking ripple effect and fuck up everything. There's anything can happen, an EMP attack, anything. Solar flare, which happens every fucking 100 years or so, according to sources. It's inevitable. It will happen. And when the grid goes down, which will happen, that grid is not impenetrable. That grid isn't invincible. That grid is flawed. Heavily flawed. You know what's not flawed? You having sustainable food, greenhouses, so just in case if radiation or whatever was to come, that you have greenhouse food that's sustainable, and you have your well water that you can cover in case of nuclear something or another, or whatever, right? So that doesn't get fucking penetrated. You have enough supplements. This would be, you know, iodine, let's say, because my brother for some reason thinks that iodine's the next best thing. I don't. Anyways, that's neither here or there. I don't want this video to take forever. You live on the West Coast. You're dead. You're dead. I even told my brother. He goes, yeah, I was wondering, I was thinking about maybe looking for places in Northern California. I said, nope, you'd be dead. Chance of fame, you're dead. You're dead. California, you're dead. I'm in Wyoming right now. You'd be dead. You're dead. It's Wyoming. You're dead. You're dead. See, but there's no people up here. There's not really much to battle. You can have your crops and everything. Yeah? You have sustainable water in Wyoming? Maybe. Wyoming might be an exception, all right? Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, most of Texas, you're dead. You're dead. If you are pretty much anywhere west of Kansas, let's say, you're dead. There's almost no rain. I'd say about half of that, right? Half of, if you're west of Kansas, half of it, you're dead. There's no water. It doesn't rain, and when it does, that's not sustainable. If you need a gallon of water a day to survive, you're dead. Then you have all these people, you're dead. Your wells are going to be dried up in an instant. You're dead. You're dead. So just expect, you live in Los Angeles, you're dead. You're dead. There's nothing you can do about it. Get in a boat and go to Mexico. You're still dead. You're dead. There ain't no water out in the sea that's drinkable. You're dead. Oh, but I learned this thing where if you put two bottles together and you light up the saltwater one, well, the other bottle's going to get enough water. Yeah, that's going to be your lifestyle. You're dead. You're dead. Sorry. You're dead. Be reasonable. And see, this is another thing. I'm a do it kind of guy. I'm a learn stuff, do it kind of guy. But if you're just a learn stuff kind of guy and you don't do shit, you're dead. I learned this. I know how to put two sticks together, and how often do you do that? Once a week? Once a year? How often do you do that where you go out in the woods and you try to survive for a week with nothing? How often do you do that? Never? You're dead. You're dead. You have nothing to prop? You're dead. You don't have a sustainable community in which that everyone's fighting for the same cause and everyone pitched in and everyone has the same mindset? You're dead. You're dead. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? It's not for fear-mongering. It's to raise awareness, and it's to get you into the mindset of growing the fuck up and not being reliant like a child on the system. Right? Your dollar collapses, you're dead. Well, I have $30,000 in the bank, you're dead. I bought all this gold, you're dead. Watch my video why you shouldn't buy gold. It's just a fucking scam, alright? It's a scam. Gold won't be nothing more than a fucking paperweight. You don't go up to a farmer with, if the dollar collapsed, you go up to a farmer, hey man, I'll give you $10 for that, for 10 apples. Nope, $1 collapse. It ain't worth nothing. Sorry, buddy. Okay, I'll give you $200 for 10 apples. I'm not gonna give you something that's basically gold, basically the best thing ever, which is food, healthy, good, whole food, for something that ain't worth nothing, which is paper. You're gonna give me paper? I got tons of woods back there I can make a fire. I don't need your kindling. Sorry, buddy. Oh, well, I bought this gold. I got an ounce of gold. It's worth $1,500. Well, if $1,500 is worth nothing, then your gold's worth nothing. What am I gonna do with your gold? It's gonna be a paperweight for my kindling that you would call money. It's not gonna be worth nothing. Think about it. If you're an idiot and you're buying gold, you're an idiot because you didn't think it through. You got scammed by morons. Or you got scammed by scam artists because you're a moron. Think about it. Before you buy something, think about it, right? I'm a prepper and I got tons of gold. What are you doing with that gold? What are you doing with it? Huh? What are you doing? You're doing nothing with it. It's not valuable when shit hits the fan. You need to really consider water as the real gold, the real thing to need, clean water. Because when shit hits the fan, you're dead. If you don't have clean water, you're dead. And if you have water but it's not clean, it's not filtered, and it's not healthy, well, you're gonna get sick. You're not gonna be able to defend yourself against the inevitable mob trying to take the stuff that you prep for. Like Bill Burr said in his stand-up special, well, if you prepped all this shit, well, what are you prepping for if you don't have a means to defend what you're prepped for? You're basically gathering up stuff for the toughest guy in the block. That's what you're doing. And don't think that your friendly neighbor, hey neighbor, how's it going? How's the kids? Don't tell me that guy's gonna fucking have your back. Because that guy's gonna defend his family just like you're defending yours. And how long are you gonna defend your family? You're gonna have to, well, honey, I'm gonna need you to stay here. I know we don't have any running water. I know we don't have any more food. I know we don't have any electricity or a way to store food. I know we didn't prep. Sorry, babe. We don't even have a fucking generator. We don't have nothing. Sorry, babe. You need to stay here with the kids. I'll be back within a day. I'll go find food. He doesn't come back because he's gonna get shot. Right? He didn't prep. He's gonna get shot. He's gonna go out there hiding. That's a beta male. He's gonna get shot. Sorry, honey. You didn't date somebody with balls. You didn't date somebody that really gave a fuck about you. Because he didn't prep. He didn't prepare because he didn't care enough for you. I don't talk about prepping because it's entertaining. I talk about prepping because it's survival. And anyone will tell you that it will inevitably happen. Shit will hit the fan. Inevitably. There's literally nothing that can sustain it the rest of your life. Unless it's artificial. And that artificial is going to get worse and worse and worse. So when that bubble pops, it's going to be worse. I know I'm saying it in a very vague terms. But if you really want to dive into it, we could go into every scenario that could potentially happen. And that would be a video that's not going to be 45 minutes long. It's going to be a video that's going to be about 10 hours long. Because if I went to every fucking possible nook and cranny that could possibly happen, after an hour you'd be like, whoa, dude, I get it. Like, there's no way this is sustainable. And the only reason I'm not diving into all of those things, because, like I said, it'd be a 10-hour video. It'd be ridiculous. So I want to make this as short as possible, because you guys only like my short, to the point, 6-minute videos anyways. You're not even this far, because you're like, oh, well, I guess I need to prep. And then tomorrow you'll forget about it. And when shit hits the fan, oh, I should have listened. I should have thought. I should have empowered myself and learned things and prepped. Nope. Sorry, beta. You're weeded out of the gene pool like you would be naturally. Fucking betas. That's what you are. If you don't take care of your family, you're a beta. You're not there for your kids, you're a beta. Straight up. Our species is based on strong men. If you're a fucking beta, that's what you are. Get over yourself, or prep. Start getting intelligent. Start learning things. Start devising plans. Start having communications with your peers. Start having communications with people around you. Start talking to people. Start showing people videos like this. Be like, hey man, shit will hit the fan. It will happen. Are you with me? Let's either be full in this or not in this. You can't just dip your toes in the pool and be like, ooh, it's cold, and slow your way in. You're either in it or you're out. Dive in or you're out. See, I'm not making money off of you prepping. In fact, I'm not benefiting off of you prepping. This video, I'm not benefiting. I don't have a sponsor. Go buy gold. I have none of that. I'm not making money off of any of my videos. None of this shit I'm making money off of. What I'm doing is raising awareness, because a lot of you guys are doing your 9 to 5, having your routine, not thinking. No individual independent thought. Therefore, I'm trying to spark the mind of your unique individual weird self. So there's two things that I want to talk about this week. One being mindless consumerism. One being, I'm not going to give spoilers to my next videos. Never mind. But anyways, that's enough for this video, I hope. Stay tuned for more content. If you want to dive into more prepping videos, I will totally love more prepping videos. But again, I encourage you to subscribe to Viking Preparedness, and I even encourage you guys to put $1 on his Patreon and get full-fledged of his videos. He's a great guy. He's very intelligent, and he has tons of gems when it comes to the prepping thing. I'm definitely subscribed to plenty of preppers on YouTube, but that's one that I like the most, and he thinks like me for the most part. So yeah, stay tuned for more content. Plenty more coming. See you guys.